going to create a data-driven test in Alchemy. Actually, this will be the first of a 3 or 4 part series on data-driven testing in Alchemy. In this particular segment, we're going to talk about using a data file to drive tests, which is probably the most common form of data-driven testing. So I have a CSV file that I've created here. I'll show you the file. It's just got some records in it, some contact information, first name, last name, company, email, phone number, and so forth. So in order to make that data file available to test in Alchemy, I'm going to open a suite. I am going to go to the Data tab, add a data source, and put in the name of it. It's going to be test data. The file name is this, and I'm specifying that ignore the first row of the form because those are the headers. So let's go create the data source. It's showing me what it found in the file. It recognized those headers. It automatically named the fields. I'll import the data. That's actually not importing the data into some data set that's used by every test that uses this data source from now on. All it really did was make that data available here so I can visualize what was actually there. Actually, when I execute the test, it will read the file every time and read whatever data is in the file at the time the test runs. So I can add records, delete records, and so forth. So go ahead and save this data source. Next, I will create a test. Let's go add a test. Data-driven test. And I'll add that. The easiest way to create a test in Alchemy is to record. Since we're in a suite already, the suite has a URL associated with it, a site associated with it. It's fine. I can change it if I want to, but I don't need to. So let's just record. And let me resize the browser to something much larger so it'll be easier to deal with during this testing. I'm going to reject all the cookies. Alchemy's recording these steps as I do this. I'm going to go to the contact form. Here's the contact form, and I'll just fill it out with some test data. So test first, test last. I'm just using some data as placeholders at the time. Fake email address there, phone number. Put a message in here. And I'm not going to actually click submit on this form because it will actually submit the form, and it's a live form, and the operations staff will then receive a message, and I don't want to pollute their inboxes. So you just navigate back to the main page or the home page of this particular site, and I'm going to stop the recording. So let me just close that browser. Don't need that anymore for the moment. And if I look down here, look at the steps I recorded, I navigated, resize the browser, reject the cookies, navigate to the contact form, focus, fill in the form. Then I don't want to drag that label. I thought I did something kind of weird with the mouse, so I'll just go ahead and delete these steps. It's easy. Get those out of the way so they don't cause any problems later. And I'll just save that. So this is my test. Actually, I don't want to run this test as it is for 2 reasons. One is I don't really want to use this placeholder data, test first, test last. I mean, I could, but that's not the point of this. So I'm going to extract filling out the form into a function. And I'm taking a little shortcut here. I just selected all the steps, and I'm just going to unselect the 4 steps that I don't want to copy out to a function. Fill the form is the name of the function I'm creating. So now it's reduced my test to those first 4 steps, plus it's calling the function fill the form. Let's go ahead and take a look at that function. I save a lot just to have it. But let's go ahead and take a look at the function that we just created. There's only one, so it's going to show it to me. We first click on contact in on the main ORC site. We focus on the form, then we fill in first name. This is where we're filling in that static data that I typed in during the recording exercise. So what I really want to do is use that data source, which is here. Now I can just drag these fields in. I want to drag it into where I'm typing in the first name. Here's where I type in the last name, company, email, phone, and finally the message. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and save that function. If I go back to my test, I can see I'm calling the function fill the form. I want to make a little change here. I don't want to just call that function one time. What I want to do is actually run that function for every row of data. So I'm going to go to my action toolbox, and I'm going to find an action called repeat. In fact, there are numerous actions here. Repeat's the one I want. You can drag any action into any test, hopefully in a place where it makes sense. But in this particular case, I want to repeat over data, so I'll have to open this up and change this from fixed count to data. I need to name the data table that I want it to use. So if I go to the data, this is the data table. I'll drag it in. Everything's drag and drop, easy as it can be. Okay, what function name do I want to execute? I can find that here. Fill the form, and I'll save this. So you can see for each record in the data table, contact form test data.csv, which is my file, execute fill the form. And I actually don't need this call anymore. I don't need to execute it one time just for that, so I'll delete that step. And I'll save again. And now I will execute my test. And if I didn't make any mistakes, it will run that function one time for every record in that data set. I believe there were 5 or 6 records in the data set. So it's executing now. It's typing in Jack Doe. You can see in the background what's going on. You can actually see it here. Emily Smith is the next contact. And it's winding down, you know, because there were only, like I said, I think there were 6 contacts here. Everything seems to be working fine. I believe this is the last record. Yes, it was. The test passed. Okay, thank you very much. There'll be another video soon on how to data drive a test with synthetic data. Thank you.